Hello. So sorry I've been gone a while. I kind of had another terrible mental health episode, but I'm back. And today I'm actually doing a commentary video. The reason I originally made this channel. So this video is not going to be scripted, so I'm sorry if it's a bit more filled with like ums and ahs. I usually try to take them out of the video in the recording stage, but some might slip through, and that's just the way it is. When it's also off script, I might word things poorly, but generally speaking, I think I should be fine. I have a bullet list of things I'm going to talk about, so it's not like I'm just ranting on and on and on. I do actually have things I want to go over. So, what is the topic for today's video? Today's video topic is closed species, and I feel like especially with the rise of TikTok, and even back in the DeviantArt days, there seems to be a lot of hostility towards them, and some of it is warranted, but I feel like a lot of it is based on an assumption about the closed species community without ever actually being true. It's kind of like saying, wouldn't it be crazy if people did this? And they actually do this, and then they don't actually do it, and people are just lying because, I don't know, they want attention online, and like one person did it one time. The main things I want to go over are how closed species work a lot on an honor system, the exclusion that comes with them, the fun that comes with them, ARPGs and what they're about, and the limitations of closed species character creation and how that can actually inspire creativity, as well as the entire concept of knockoff species, when people make it to retaliate to closed species. Now first off, the honor system. What is the honor system? The honor system basically works in which everybody trusts each other to follow the rules or do a certain task, even if no one is actually outwardly enforcing it, and there's not really a punishment in place if you don't do it. This is what a lot of closed species work off of. We all just trust each other to not really beef it, lie and be deceitful and hurt each other, because at the end of the day, these are all just supposed to be fun. Now some people obviously don't follow this rule and they end up cheating people out of characters that aren't actually a part of the species and they lie about it, or there's a whole thing where things get misconstrued and people think something is official when it's not actually official, and it also depends on who and who can't make adoptables of the species. But generally speaking, based on the system, I haven't seen a lot of actual issues arise. It works pretty well. And I feel like that's what a lot of people miss with closed species, is they think it's this cut and dry, everyone's super hostile over drawing a character a certain way and it looking like a closed species and everyone goes crazy and all this stuff, when in reality, most people are just chilling and they're just enjoying making characters in someone else's world, and that's the end of it. I'm sure people can find examples of what I'm talking about, but generally speaking, I feel like it's a chill time. Next, we want to go over exclusion. From outside the closed species community, there seems to be a lot of talk of exclusion, how you can never make one of these characters and it's excluding people from being creative and all of this stuff. But in reality, nobody really cares if you make a knockoff character. Sure, it's not official, but why do you care about it being official? Because I thought that it didn't matter. You can make something and claim it is official even if it's not. I mean, how many people make My Little Pony OCs and Spider-Man OCs and all kinds of fandom OCs, even if they're not going to be officially recognized by the actual creator of the show or the piece of media you like. I don't think that this exclusion is really as, catty and childish as people think it is, because a lot of people indulging in closed species are adults who have jobs and they save for these things and they buy the characters and that's it, and they have fun with them. I don't really think that this exclusion is really as prominent as people think it is, and I feel like it's a lot of people feeling excluded, even if to a degree it's mostly internal, and then pushing that as the external way that they are experiencing it, when in reality, the way you feel about how something is happening isn't necessarily the way that it's actually happening, and I feel like a lot of people just don't go over that. I think another thing is to do with finances and stuff. People say that these species are really expensive and so on and so forth, and I do think they can be quite expensive, especially the more rare a character is, but to be honest, I feel like the people selling the character designs are usually also very well-known artists who would have charged that much for a character design anyways, And also, art is a luxury. It's okay to not be able to afford things, but I don't think that every artist should now bend their prices to be what you can afford. It's a luxury. I mean, in a rising economy, isn't having an entirely self-sustained species and community something that's amazing and should be, enjoyed as a fellow artist? But that's just my opinion on that. I don't really know why people get so up in arms about this and then don't get up in arms about other things to do with art pricing. It just seems a bit redundant to me. Next, close species are fun. They're really fun. I'm sorry, they are fun. Like, everyone's got a character and they all have similar traits and you can draw them interacting in this world, and they have a whole thing set around them, You get the Grem 2s, you get your bag beans, which we will go into later, and even Chimerians are starting to get their own website, although it's been in the works for a while, and I know people don't really like Seal, but that isn't really what we're talking about right now. I think they're really fun to just draw characters in. They don't even have to be your characters. I don't have a Chimerian, but I've made a whole bunch of drawings of them. I used to have one 7 years ago, and then I gave it to someone and I kind of regret giving it, but what you gonna do? But that person's also having a lot of fun with that character now, and it's to have a character that you like. I mean, yeah, they're a part of this closed species, and sure, there's a whole lot of rules around it, but who cares if people want to actively engage in that community and they have to follow the rules? Then you can't really get mad at them if either they don't follow the rules or they do follow the rules and you just don't like what the rules are because it's not really your community. I haven't really seen any rules around closed species that are really that extreme that don't just have to do with character customization. There doesn't seem to be a lot of rules around what you can draw your characters doing. It just gets put as non-canon, and who cares if it's non-canon? It's fun. They're your characters. Nobody's saying they're not. They're just a part of a world that you didn't create, and there's certain rules in that world, and if you draw something and it doesn't fit, cool. It doesn't matter. It's all for fun. Going into this, talking about bag beans and Grem 2s and stuff, we have ARPGs. Now, what is an ARPG? An ARPG is an art role-playing game. A lot of these can be set in the world of things like warrior cats, they can just be put in any kind of fantasy world, or they can be given a set world with set rules and have all of these things that you have to follow. And the way that you engage in the game is by drawing reactions to certain prompts or words, and then you usually get points. And with these points, or whatever their equivalent currency is, you can upgrade the character and customize them how you like. And even if you get enough points, you can afford to get other characters. Generally speaking, ARPGs are a lot fewer and far between because they are so much more work. I mean, bag beans has been a species in development for years now. I'm thinking almost a decade at this point. It's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, when you put a lot of work into this, it's gonna cost a lot more to run, and thus things are gonna go up in price. But the game is still there. I mean, for example, Bag Beans allows you to create your own bag bean based on the Maze and Haze mascot characters, and sure, they're not super original, but that just allows you to customize them in ways that you may have never thought of, which we will go into in the next topic. But generally speaking, I think that they're a net positive. ARPGs are really fun, they spark creativity, and they make people engage in the community and world that the characters are set in. And isn't that what everybody wants for their species? To have everyone engage in the world that they're created in? Then we have the topic of limitation. Oh, I can't add all these traits to my character because they're not going to be seen as official, or I have to pay an exuberant amount to customize the character. Yeah, when you're following the rules of the species, those are the rules you gotta follow. And if you don't like it, then just don't make one in that species. Make a knockoff. Nobody cares. I don't really understand this argument. It's like, if I don't follow the rules of this thing, then they won't let me create the character. Yeah, because the rules are there. You have to agree to them to actively participate in the world that the person has set. It's kind of like, wow, I can't do what I want, but it's like you're joining a community where there are set rules. Boo-hoo. Anyway, this is all to say, I think that the limitation that comes with a lot of these character designs can actually spark a lot of creativity, because you might be bogged down by everything you can't do, but that just gets to exemplify everything you can do. Custom hair designs, outfits, clothing. I mean, I see a lot of character designs nowadays that are just outfits, 90% of the character design is in the outfit, and I think that's amazing. I don't think a character's markings have to be super creative for it to be a fun design, and if that is something that you like, well, closed species might not be the thing for you, and that's okay. I don't think they have to be. I think closed species are their own thing, and they're fun, but they're not for everyone, and I don't think they have to be for everyone. Open species are there. There are hundreds upon hundreds of species for you to create that are just there waiting for you, but you're spending all your time getting mad at one that you can't create in? Seems a bit unnecessary to me. Shouldn't we just be a bit more positive and look at what we can enjoy instead of what we can't enjoy at this point? Last thing I wanted to mention is the concept of knockoff species. People think they're really smart when they create a knockoff species because, oh, they wouldn't let me do this and that, so I'm gonna do it myself. And to you, I say, have fun. I don't really think you're making the statement you want to make, because I feel like the people paying for knockoff species, or even not paying for knockoff species, weren't gonna get the closed species character in the first place. And that's just how it is. I don't think that you're in the wrong for making a knockoff species, but all of these people want to talk about how uncreative closed species designs are, and yet when they make their own species, it looks exactly like those closed species. Now, you might not like seal, or you might not like chimerions, but you can't deny the amount of chameleon-like designs that came out after chimerions became popular, and you can't deny the amount of knockoff bag beans, Grem 2s, or even the CC cats recently. People got so mad when people started making CC cat fursuits because now they actually have to pay for the character designs of the species, and suddenly there are a bunch of CC cat inspired knockoff species, and people want to say they were so uncreative, and yet that's all I'm going to talk about on the topic, because knockoff species are kind of a beast of their own, and I think they're ridiculous because they're really based off an assumption that the people in the closed species community care about knockoff species at all, when they don't. They really don't. I haven't seen a single person in the closed species community actually care about them, so you're kind of fighting a losing battle. But regardless, that's everything I wanted to say on closed species. I feel like there's a lot more nuance to these discussions, but every single time I see people talk about closed species, it's always people loudly against them, when in reality, I feel like they're not that bad at all. People want to treat closed species like they're corporate greed, when it's probably run by like 2 people in their home, probably like, I don't know, staying with their parents. Like, they're not giant millionaires off these things, and most artists who are self-sufficient aren't giant millionaires. They're just making what they can to get by, and I think that's commendable. I think creating a whole species yourself and getting it out there and getting people to care about it is commendable, regardless of anything else that comes into play. That's all I wanted to say though. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any differing opinions, that's totally fine as well. You can leave them in the comments below and we can have a bit of a discussion. And with that, colon 3.